Hey everybody, this is Appa Brian and Appa Baseball Classics bringing to you the Week 15 NFL Picks to Post show. This show is going to be a little bit different. I'm usually joined by my son-in-law, Dan Mattingly, but this is their 9th anniversary tonight.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, happy anniversary and special memories for Appa Lori. And who is joining me tonight is Lori. There on the right-hand screen. She's my beloved wife. She married my daughter and Dan.
I officiated the wedding. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was December 13th, 2013. We have certainly approved of that marriage.
We certainly did. We're very happy.
Last week, Bruins fan had the best score amongst our picks, and he went 8-5. So he was a winner last week. Lori was in contention. She was tied with Bruins fan until that last game, and Arizona lost that game. He had New England and Lori had Arizona. But hopefully he will join us again tonight. And we missed DJ John last week. So we may be basically just you and me. We'll see how this goes.
You and me, babe.
All right. First up, we've got the San Francisco Giants hosting the Seattle Seahawks. Very important in-division game. San Francisco is actually, you have the records with the picks over there, but the San Francisco 49ers are 2 games ahead of Seattle for the NFL Western Division lead. So Seattle needs to win this game if they are going to have any hopes of winning the division.
So San Francisco's 9-4 and Seattle 7-6.
All right, so San Francisco, they could be down to their third string quarterback. They've got a couple things going against them in this game. First of all, Brock Purdy is questionable for the game. And if he can't go, it's going to be Josh Johnson, a rookie quarterback. But we said last week that Brock Purdy was surrounded by so much talent. It didn't matter. But he did play a great game himself. In fact, he had an outstanding game. The other thing going against San Francisco in this game is that they are playing their first road game since October. They've been home for about 5 or 6 weeks. It's been unbelievable in that schedule. So that's Seattle is a tough place to play. It is loud, but we'll see how San Francisco does.
Blitz coming. Purdy lofting, going deep. Has McCaffrey. He's got it. Touchdown, San Francisco. For Tampa Bay, they're going to run it to McCaffrey right up the middle. And a stiff arm. McCaffrey for 6.
This is what the 49ers were hoping for when they signed him. What were you going to say, Lori?
Oh, I was going to say, so a little bit of trivia is I was in high school. McCaffrey's dad, Ed McCaffrey, spoke to my high school teen group.
And this is
when he was a Denver Bronco. So I'm a McCaffrey fan, and San Francisco's on fire. I don't know how they can win or how they can lose right now.
Seattle is not on fire. They've had 3 losses in their last 4 games. Geno is still playing well, 72%, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And one thing he does do also is he does throw the ball downfield 8 yards per pass attempt. And he's got Lockett, who made that toe drag swag catch in the end zone last week. He's really good at that. Running back Walker from Michigan State, the rookie running back, is day-to-day. And I would say if he can't play, Seattle is going to really be up against it. Tariq Woolen has 6 interceptions. And but Seattle's defense of late has kind of taken a step back. My pick for this game is San Francisco.
I agree with you. They're just on fire.
Yep. Okay. Next game up is the Indianapolis Colts at the Minnesota Vikings.
So the Colts are 4-8 with one tie, and Minnesota is 10-3. So
Okay, this is the first of the Saturday games. From here on out, the NFL will be playing on Saturdays. 3 games this Saturday. This is the first one. And just Saturday, kind of the honeymoon is over. coaching the Colts. Took a huge beating last week. Indianapolis is 2-5 versus the spread on the road. And their offense, led by quarterback Matt Ryan, has only exceeded 20 points 2 times this year. Matt Ryan is 68%, 13 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. The big number on him is he has fumbled the ball 14 times. So coming off that 54-point beatdown, he might be sorry he left the broadcast wing to coach his former team. And I can't think that can't help but think, but the coaches, who have all that experience on their staff, some of them 20 years, one of them 40 years, more than 40 years. I'm sure they're men about it, but they could not have been happy that he was picked to be the coach. All right, our next, we need to talk about the Minnesota Vikings. They just got gouged by Jeff Goff of the Detroit Lions. They were 1-point underdogs in that game last week, and they did lose the game. I couldn't understand, but I think they caught a break last week they lost to the 2 weeks ago, I think, when they played the Jets. But I would thought they would be using Sauce Gardner on Justin Jefferson. That didn't happen. So I think they caught a break there. Christian Darrisaw, their offensive tackle, is now into full practice, so I expect he will likely be playing. The Vikings have a chance to win out in the schedule. They still have a shot at a number 1 seed. There are 4 games left. And Kirk Cousins is still playing well, 69%, 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 6.9 points per yards per attempt. Yeah, I don't think the Indianapolis Colts have much of a chance. It's going to be Minnesota Vikings.
Yep, I think you're right on that. The Colts have just petered out. They just never got to go anywhere this season.
It was losing Shaq Leonard. He was a big part of their defense, but he only got on the field about a couple of games in the middle of the season. Then he had to go out for back surgery. He's going to be out for a while. Next game is the Baltimore Ravens at the Cleveland Browns. What's the Ravens record, Sweetie?
Okay, the Ravens record is 9-4, and then Cleveland is 5-8.
Cleveland is pretty much out of it, I would say. Baltimore's got a couple problems coming into this game. Lamar Jackson's not ready to play, and Huntley, their backup quarterback, is in concussion protocol. So it might come down to a rookie, Anthony Brown, to play quarterback. He will likely be helped by the addition of J.K. Dobbins, who broke out last week. He's been injured quite a bit, but he was 15 carries for 120 yards last week. And the defense also picked them up with 3 interceptions last week. We've been talking about Baltimore's linebackers, Patrick Queen, one of them, and Roquan Smith, that they got from Chicago, and both of them had interceptions. The Ravens have won 6 of the last 7 games, and their only loss was to Jacksonville in those 7 games, and that was just by 1 point. We talked about last week how Deshaun Jackson wasn't looking great in training camp when he practiced with the Browns, and wasn't looking great leading up to his playing. And in the first 2 weeks, that's kind of what's played out. He has not hit the ground running. He's at 60%, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and only 4 yards per attempt. He's got wide receivers. Amari Cooper's got 63 catches for 874 yards. And Jonathan Peoples-Jones, 53 catches, 51. So the talent is there. Got a running game. Nick Chubb, 1,153 yards, 5-point average. So there's support around him. We're just waiting for his game to catch. Don't think it's going to happen this week. I'm picking the Ravens.
All right. Well, Ravens bit me last week. I'm going to go for Cleveland.
Okay. Mark it down.
All right. Here you go.
All right. Next up is the Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills.
So Miami's 8-5 and Buffalo's 10-3.
All right. It's supposed to. I think it's supposed to snow up in Buffalo. But no, wait a minute. It's not going. I'm not sure it's going to snow, but it's going to be cold.
Be really cold.
Yeah, probably around 20 degrees. All right. Well, Miami played Chargers. They got caught in a press man coverage, and Tua was not very accurate. In fact, he has missed passes the last 2 weeks. And there was some MVP talk about Tua, but that has kind of died down. The Dolphins have some road woes where they don't play as well on the road. Oh, yeah, I did write down. They're expecting 6 to 8 inches of snow in Buffalo Sunday.
Dolphins are going to.
That's going to be another problem. Maybe the Bills won't see them, in their all white helmets, white jerseys, white pants. Maybe they'll get by on deception.
They're just going to hide in the snow.
I'm thinking these people from Miami are not going to like this. I
guess you're going with Buffalo?
Yeah, I'll be going with Buffalo. Miami did get Armstead back, one of the tackles that was missing. He is healthy, but still the offensive line was not getting any push, and they couldn't get those two running backs going. Also, Tyreek Hill finished the game last week limping. So he might be questionable. Miami is 1-5 against the spread on the road in their last 6 games. So let's keep that in mind. Buffalo, I'm not sure Buffalo is also a team that's really built to play in bad weather. They don't, they're physical, but this game, if it snows, it's going to be a pushing and shoving match. And I do think it's going to be kind of high scoring if it snows because receivers always have an advantage when the field is a little bit slick. Jordan Phillips, their run-stopping defensive tackle. They've got other run-stopping defensive tackles. But he's day-to-day. He's got a shoulder injury. And I do think this definitely will be an easier game for the Bills than they had when they played the Jets last week. Josh Allen is at 64% passing, 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and an outstanding 7.6 yards per attempt. This is what they're selling in Buffalo. I think they took this picture in the Chiefs game, his Christmas tree topper, but he pulled that move off again last week.
That's great. He's having a great year, that's for sure.
He's still I think he's still definitely in the MVP talk. Let's knock aside Miami. And
there you go.
Buffalo.
Go Josh Allen.
All right, next game is the Philadelphia Eagles at the Chicago Bears.
Now, Philadelphia, we know, is 13-1, and the Bears, they are 3-10. Oh, wow.
Weather will play a part in the second half already. The rain is coming down harder.
Yeah, and it's been all run playing into that. Here's Hurts with a blocker in front. Jalen Hurts. And they are gashing the Giants on the ground. First drive of the second half.
All right, somebody who is still in the MVP talk is, of course, Jalen Hurts. The Philadelphia Eagles are really riding high. They've averaged 41 points in their last 3 games. Yeah, I got to think that Jalen Hurts is the current MVP favorite, particularly after the game that Mahomes had last week. I mean, he had a decent game, but he did throw 3 interceptions along with his 3 touchdowns. So Hurts is at 68%, and he's only thrown 3 interceptions all season long, and he's throwing the ball downfield 8.1 yards per attempt. The one weakness the Eagles have had through the season is run stopping, but they've added 3 fat guys in the middle that will stop runs. in Dominic Sue, Linval Joseph, and they're working in Jordan Davis, the big guy they drafted from Georgia in the last draft. Chicago Bears just don't have a lot to play for. Mooney is still out. Heber is out. Detroit traded away their best defensive players. And now with their top 2 or 3 stars injured, I don't think Chicago's got any chance in this game.
Agreed. Philadelphia it is.
Okay, next game up is the Atlanta Falcons.
We're
at the
5-8. And then New Orleans is 4-9.
But actually, both of them are still in their division because nobody's running away with that division. Whoever wins that division might very well have a losing record. This week, the Atlanta Falcons and Arthur Smith are turning to Desmond Ridder, the rookie quarterback they drafted from Cincinnati. And let's see, Mariota was banged up a little bit last week, but Arthur Smith went out of his way to say that that's not the reason for the change. He says that Desmond Ridder has played his way into the starting lineup with his work in practice. Let's see, Atlanta Falcons have given up less than 20 points in their last 2 weeks, and they can run the ball with Algier and Patterson. They're both averaging 5 yards per carry. And Ridder will have Drake London to throw to, and also Kyle Pitts. Pitts has only got 28 receptions. I still think like I said last year, I think they need to get the ball to him more. He was a prolific pass catcher in college, and I don't see why he can't be in the NFL. The Saints are coming back from a tough loss to Tom Brady in Tampa Bay when they had a 2-touchdown lead going into the last 3 minutes of that game. They've only scored themselves 16 points the last 2 weeks. The previous week they were shut out. So their offense is not hitting on all cylinders. Kamara, the running back, has been a bit disappointing running, 3.8 yards per carry, but he has 51 catches receiving with 433 yards, and Olave is having a terrific year. But Olave has been pretty much the one positive thing that New Orleans has been having going. They've got a decent defense, but their offense has been very inconsistent, and I think Atlanta will be able to hold them down and will beat the Saints.
All right, well, I'm going to pick New Orleans. I just think that they're going to come back because they've been hurt so bad that they need a good win at this one. They're going to fight.
Embarrassed that they lost to Tom Brady?
Yeah. No. Well, it was a crazy loss, that's for sure.
All right, next up is the Detroit Lions and the New York Jets.
And the New York Jets are 6-7. I'm sorry, they're 7-6, and Detroit is 6-7.
This really is a playoff game for both teams.
2nd down and 5 off the fake to Jamal Williams. Goff going deep, wide open, touchdown on his first NFL reception. The rookie out of Alabama, Jameson Williams.
I was very happy about that touchdown.
I was too. I mean, it's been a long time for Jameson Williams to get on the field after his terrific career at Alabama. And now they've got him, and he's healthy and ready to go. So that was his first catch, and it was a touchdown. Detroit Lions have won 4 of their last 5 games, and it would not shock. And Jared Goff has been hot. It would not shock me if they actually go from here and win out. It's very, very possible. Goff is at last week he threw 300 yards for 3 touchdowns. I mean, he's really rolling along. And that trade, Stafford for Goff, of course, paid off for Los Angeles last year when Stafford won the Super Bowl. But Stafford, he's 38 years old, or 34 years old, I think. And Goff is only 28 years old. So long term, Detroit looks like they're going to get the best of this deal. Can he lead the Lions to the playoffs? I'm betting that he can. Detroit is 9-4 against the spread. That's the best in the NFL. And I think Aiden Hutchinson, the rookie defensive end, he could very well be all-pro this year the way he is playing. Jets are a tough team, and they have a very tough defense. Don't know how healthy their quarterback, Mike White, is.
They were roommates at the Manning Passing Academy. They've been buddies ever since he's hit on release. He got hammered by Matt Milano.
Ouch.
Ow.
Matt Milano got him on a quarterback blitz. It was a legal hit, but he may have broken a rib. They're not saying. And Justin Heber played through his broken rib, so he may try. And I'm not sure he had a broken rib. It just looked bad. So he's questionable, and the Jets may have to go with Joe Flacco, which is not great. Flacco's 58%, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 5.7 per attempt. I don't think they'll go back to Zach Wilson yet. I think they would go to Flacco. Running back Zonovan Knight was quite a revelation last week. 5.0 average, and he had a 48-yard game. So the only thing that went wrong last week for the Jets against Buffalo is I think their offensive line had a subpar game. Jets are tough, but
Buffalo was better.
Buffalo was better, and I think Detroit is better too, at least at the quarterback position. Their quarterback is rolling, and we're not sure about what the Jets are going to have at quarterback.
So Detroit it is. All right. So we got Pittsburgh and Carolina here, and they're both 5-8.
Carolina has been playing pretty well of late.
Amazing so far this season in his replacement bid for Russell Wilson.
Here he is on the move to the left, looking, and he throws a pick. And it's J.C. Horn with his 3rd of the season. Boy, all the talk about Geno Smith, and J.C. Horn ends up getting tripped up inside the 20-yard line. All the cadence. Geno Smith under pressure. It's picked up. It's C.J. Henderson. Much maligned quarterback comes up with the pick.
Huge upset win for Carolina last week over Seattle. They're chasing, they don't have a great record, but they're still alive in their division.
Yeah.
One thing about Carolina, week in, week out, they're going to have a consistent run game. Sam Darnold playing pretty well, 58%, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He hasn't had much time on the field just the last couple of games. 6.6 yards per attempt. I was a huge fan of Sam Darnold when he was in high school. He played at Mater Dei High School in Los Angeles, and I watched more than one of his high school games online. Defensive end Brian Burns is really hot now. He's got 10.5 sacks and 13 tackles for a loss. Steelers are going to have to go with Mitch Trubisky. Kenny Pickett is in concussion protocol, and Trubisky did not have a complete game last week and threw 3 interceptions. So it's not going well there. They've got 2 cornerbacks that are out, Witherspoon and Jackson, are out. Najee Harris is only averaging 3.8 yards per carry. The reserves, Warren and Snell, are about 4.5. TJ Watt has only 2 sacks in 6 games. He's a good player, but he's not putting up the numbers and the production that he did last year. And it might be that pectoral injury that he got earlier in the year. I am picking, I think I said Carolina, didn't I?
You certainly did, and so am I.
Yep, Carolina.
All right. So next we got Dallas and Jacksonville. And Dallas is 10-3 and Jacksonville is 5-8.
All right. Jacksonville has been coming on lately. They're trying to catch Tennessee. And Tennessee's in a spiral. So I certainly believe they think they can. The trouble is they've given up a lot of points in the last 4 games, an average of 29 points over the last 4. They got a linebacker, Yale Olorin from Yale, or not Yale. He's played at Yale in college, drafted 4 years ago. That's had an outstanding season. He's only got 1 sack, 142 tackles and 10 of those for a loss. Trevor Lawrence is most definitely living up to the hype now. He is coming on to have a very strong season, 66%, 20 touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions, 7-yard per attempt average. Dallas Cowboys almost stubbed their toes last week against the Houston Texans. In fact, I actually kind of think they were kind of lucky to win that game. If you watch the end of that game, Houston had 4th and goal at about the 1 or 2 yard line, called an RPO, and the quarterback went the wrong way.
Oh, no.
But if it goes the right way and scores, Cowboys are up against it. They pulled it out 27-24, but that's a 1-11-1 team that really muscled up against them. New signing for the Cowboys this week was former wide receiver of the Indianapolis Colts, Ty Hilton, is coming out of retirement. Dak Prescott has thrown some INTs. We saw 2 of them, or not, that was a different game, but he has thrown some interceptions. But he has 6-1 since his return. So that's what they've been hoping for. Micah Parsons has been quiet for a couple of weeks. So at some point, you figure he's going to pick it up again. Jacksonville's won their last couple of games. Dallas struggled quite a bit last week, but I am still picking Cowboys.
I'm going for the Cowboys too, even though I think Jacksonville wants to give it a good thing. Okay, we got the Chiefs here in Houston. Chiefs are 10-3. Houston is 1-11-1.
Interesting, Evan, to see what Andy Reid wants to do with something like that if he calls his plays to the opposite side.
Mahomes, he'll just chuck it ahead, and it's caught. McKinnon has that next gear. Touchdown on a full sprint to the end zone.
Such a great underhand pass.
It was. If you're watching Chiefs games week in, week out like we do here, you're going to see something new every week from Mahomes.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about him. He was over 300 yards again last week, but he did throw 3 interceptions to his 3 touchdowns. So I kind of think he's going to come back. I mean, when they asked about him, about that, he's a stand-up guy. But he said when you're aggressive, you're kind of taking that chance, which he did when he came out, which he did when he was at Texas Tech. He threw quite a few interceptions there. And I remember when he started with the Chiefs, he really concentrated on knocking that down and not throwing so many interceptions. And I think he's going to be back to that next week against Houston. He doesn't, after a game like that, he does not want to get picked again. Yet, if you know him, he will still push the ball downfield. Drake McKinnon had an outstanding game. He had 112 yards receiving. And Isaiah Pacheco, he's now the number 1 running back. He had a great day running the ball. They never commit heavily to the run, but when they call upon him, he always produces. Here's the troubling stat, Lori, of this Chiefs team. They have given up 28 touchdown passes.
Wow.
That's the most in the NFL. 15 of those are against the rookies. They have a few rookies in the secondary. And I think the reason is they get confused. I would rather see, they have shown that they can do press coverage. But remember last year when they put in everything all at once the first of the year, and the defense, especially the secondary, was confused?
Yeah.
And our defense struggled the first 4 weeks. And then they got it together and played pretty well from that point forward. These rookie quarterbacks, I think, are still confused. And I would just as soon see them drop playing zones on the coach. But look at these 3 Denver touchdown passes from last week.
Down to 1:38 left. Wilson, a floater, caught. Touchdown, Jerry Jeudy. Wilson to the end zone. Touchdown, Jerry Jeudy. Deep drop. Rippin. Touchdown, Jerry Jeudy's got the hat trick.
Okay, the first one I think was probably against man coverage, but the next 2 was against zone coverage, and then the second one, McDuffie was completely confused. 21 went after the wrong guy on that X-ray pattern by Denver, and Jeudy was left wide open. If they're playing man-to-man, he would not be wide open like that. So that's something they're going to need to consider. I'm just praying that they stop playing zone defense. Nicole Hardeman might be returning. He's been out with an abdominal injury of some sort. Karlaftis, the #1 draft pick, has had sacks in his last 3 games.
He's been great.
Yeah, he's been outstanding really all year long, and he's just coming on better and better each week. A little concerned about Travis Kelce's snap counts. He was raising his hand, asking off the field quite a bit at the end of the game last
It was
week.
Denver.
It was Denver. Yeah. No, actually,
He's been sick the week before.
he was sick the week before.
Play.
Maybe he's still feeling it, so that could be part of it.
Especially when you're a mile high. Yeah.
If the Chiefs win against Houston, and I expect they will clinch their 7th straight division crown in a row. That's the second most of any team in NFL history, along with the Rams, who had 7 straight in the 70s. Of course, New England holds the #1 spot in that category. We're both probably picking Kansas City, right?
We certainly are. That's right. So next is Arizona and Denver. Arizona is 4-8 and Denver's 3-10, and oh boy. Toss a coin on this one, right?
Yeah, because both they got some big problems. Let's start with Arizona. Kyler Murray is injured, and he went down in the 3rd play of the game and was not touched. It was a unprovoked injury, and those are usually bad. And they found out it is a torn ACL. He will be out for the season. That really complicates things. You got to believe that Cliff Kingsbury's job is on the line at Arizona, but do they pull the trigger and try to bring somebody in when that somebody comes in knowing that he's not going to be able to practice with this number 1 quarterback in the offseason and through the early part of next year? Murray's looking at least a 9-month injury and maybe a whole year to come back. So it's going to be Colt McCoy. He's at 69%, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. McCoy's not going to have Rondell Moore. Likely, again, he missed the last 2 games. Arizona's defense is not playing great. New England came in there with a bland offense and a defensive coordinator calling plays, and they couldn't stop that. So New England on Monday night pretty much did what they wanted to do. Oh boy, who do I want to pick in this game? Last week.
Who do you want to pick?
Yeah, because Denver has got to go with Brett Ripien. Russell Wilson got a concussion. Actually got knocked out in the game. It raised a knot on his head. So he's out with concussion protocol. He won't be able to play. So Brett Ripien will be on. He's 52%. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, only 4.5 yards per pass attempt. That is not going to cut it. The only thing Denver really's got going for itself is Jerry Jeudy. It looks like he's ready to break out if Ripien can get the ball to him. 3 touchdowns last week. And like, as you know, it is hard to play in Denver. I actually don't remember who I picked. Who did I pick in this game?
Well, you picked Arizona, but I'm going to pick Denver. Do you want to change your pick to Denver?
Yeah, because of Colt McCoy over Brett Ripien, I'll go ahead and stay with Arizona.
Oh, you're going to stay with Arizona?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go Denver because I'm from Denver. All right. So we got New England are 7-6 and Las Vegas is 5-8.
All right, the Patriots, they have themselves quite a game Monday night. Matt Jones was animated, and they probably, I think they asked him about it in a press conference, and he talked about he supported his offensive coordinator, but he was not happy with the play calling during that game, and I'm kind of glad to see that. You know, he's really taking on more responsibility, more leadership in that offense. And he needs to. Jacoby Myers, top receiver, is in. Stevenson and Harris didn't contribute a whole lot in that game. Defense is still playing well. Matthew Judon has 14.5 sacks. And Josh, I can't pronounce his name, Uche, U-C-H-E is a linebacker, has 10 sacks. The thing is, on this game, to get their sacks, New England blitzes quite a bit. And Derek Carr can sometimes handle those blitzes. And he's got the people to handle them with Matt Collins and Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs receiving out of the backfield. So I think New England is going to have to kind of tone that part of the defense down somewhat. And they may not get enough pressure against Las Vegas. Vegas is 3-2 against the spread. They've covered 5 of the previous 7 games. So for them, they're playing fairly well, although they lost to Baker Mayfield in the Mayfield Miracle last Sunday night. I still think Max Crosby is the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. That guy is just absolutely unblockable. Devontae Adams is pretty much uncoverable, 82 receptions, 1,247 yards. It's going to be Josh McDaniel against his mentor, Bill Belichick. Who do you think is going to win that battle?
Well, I've just erased twice, so I'm not sure. I've got the big, but I put Las Vegas down. I think that they're at home. They should get the win. Although I think New England might take it, so I don't know.
Who did I pick? I picked Vegas.
Vegas.
Yeah. Vegas it is for me. And then next game is the
Titans and Chargers, and we got 7-6 on Titans and 7-6 on Chargers.
Yeah, I got the wrong helmets here.
Oh. Okay.
I grabbed the wrong column. There we go. Titans and Chargers. Chargers going to be wearing their I thought they were going to wear their old blue last week. I was wrong. They're wearing them this week. And this helmet is a little bit different. Their current helmet has just light blue around the bowl only. But when they wear the dark blues, they wear this helmet. Maybe the number is darker. Tennessee is in a downward spiral. They have lost their last 3 games. And they have got, we've been talking about all year, glaring weaknesses at wide receiver, sort of like the New York Giants. LA Chargers have no glaring weaknesses at wide receiver. They got Keenan Allen back, and Mike Williams is definitely healthy.
So happy to have him back after the high ankle sprains kept him out. He's going that way, sideline, and it is caught by Williams. And that's what he does best. Physical, 6'4", put it up in the air. Late switch by Herbert. Out of the pocket, 2 receivers this side. Williams, feet down, touchdown. Down Eric Rowe in the secondary for the moment. Hamstring injury. Again, Herbert moves the pocket, goes for Williams, brought it in. Mike Williams, not touch it. Back up and running, inside the 15 to the 14-yard line.
I'd say he's back.
I'd say so.
He tried to play against the Chiefs a number of weeks ago and only got 1 pass and had to limp out of the game. He was not ready, but he is healthy now. And playing that first catch he made there on the sidelines, I almost jumped out of my seat. I couldn't believe it that he got that ball.
Yeah. All 3 of those catches were fabulous.
For the Chargers, it's been the same story all year long. Injuries. They have 4 D linemen on the IR. So what they've done is patchwork their defensive line and trying to get through. They have been getting gouged on the ground, but somehow they shut down the ground game last week. And if they could do that again this week, they're definitely going to be the Titans if they can get that kind of performance again. Now, Justin Herbert, I want to talk about him. There are some people on some channels who don't like him, but he is at 68% with 21 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, 3,706 yards this year. And Justin Herbert has, through his first 3 years in the NFL, more yards than any other quarterback in NFL history. I'm a Justin Herbert fan, and I've been a fan of his since the first game he debuted against the Chiefs on opening day 3 years ago. And it was like, he almost beat us, and it was like, wow. He's got Josh Allen's ability to run, although he does not run as much as Josh Allen. He has that ability, though. I think he is a great quarterback. Tennessee, again, they're just struggling. I'm going with the Chargers in this game.
I'm with you on that.
That brings
Okay,
up
now we've got Cincinnati and Tampa Bay. Cincinnati's 9-4 and Tampa Bay 6-7.
Pumps. Pressure comes. Throws high. It's intercepted. Deshaun Gibson has got it for San Francisco. And he's got room to run into Tampa territory. Inside the 40 and out of bounds there.
that's about how it went all day long for Tom Brady last week. It was probably his worst week that I could recall him ever playing. He had a touchdown pass to Evans, but they got wiped out by a holding call against Donovan Smith. We talked about that last week. That guy is a holding machine at left tackle. Wirfs, I think, is practicing, but he's day-to-day. I'm not sure he'll be back. And if he's back, then Donovan Smith will probably go back to the right side. Tampa Bay has only had a handful of 20-plus yard completions all season long. It's just dink and dunk all the way down the field. So Cincinnati, knowing what Tampa Bay is, they're going to scheme up for that, and I think they'll be very ready for that. Cincinnati doesn't have any superstars on defense, but whenever they play the Chiefs, they come out with a tremendous defensive game plan. And their offensive line, which was a problem the first 6 games of the year, last 6 games, they've only given up 6 sacks. They're no longer a problem. They have been giving a lot of protection to Joe Burrows. Burrows will be missing Boyd. He is injured, and his tight end, Hurst, is questionable, but he still has Jamar Chase. They also got a lot out of the backfield. Mixon and Pirine have 76 catches between them. I am picking Cincinnati in this game, and I'm very comfortable with that pick.
Cincinnati it is. Tampa Bay may come back with a vengeance just because they often show up at weird times, but I think you're right on Cincinnati winning on that. We got New York Giants 7-5-1 and Washington at 7-5-1.
The clock has struck midnight on the New York Giants. All the talk has been, Brian Daboll for coach of the year first 9 weeks, but it's been downright rugged lately. Pretty much, finally they put Barkley on the injury list with a neck injury, and Boomer Esiason up with a talk show up in New York. He said about 3 weeks ago he thought Barkley was injured, and it was showing in his production. I think he did get 99 yards last week, but he is not completely healthy. The last time the Giants played the Commanders, it was a tight game. Remember 2020. I don't think it's going to be a tie this time. I think Washington will be able to run the ball with Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson. New York's rush defense is near the bottom of the league. And I think it's just hard to play defense if you can't stop the run. And their secondary has been struggling of late. They've given up an average of 32 points the last 4 games. Daniel Jones just can't do it alone. The Commanders are coming off of a bye. They went into the bye a hot football team, and they're coming out of it with extra preparation for this game, which is an important game for them. They want to try to keep up with the Cowboys and try to get into the playoffs. Heineke is 60% with 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And he has a great connection with his wide receiver, McLaurin, who probably should end the next game with over 1,000 yards receiving. I am taking the Washington Commanders in this game.
I am as well. New York Giants have puttered out, and Washington has built their steam up. So, okay, we've got the final game here. It's the LA Rams, who are 4-9, and the Green Bay Packers are 5-8.
Mayfield from his own end zone caught to give them more light deep down the sideline, and it is caught by break 2-yard gain. Underneath, here's Brown to the 31-yard line. Get up, get it. 4-33. Mayfield throws. That's caught. That's a first down. Here's Skoranek to the 22. 2nd and 10. Mayfield to the end zone to Jefferson. Is that possible? Touchdown.
You didn't say, do you believe in miracles? But it was the miracle. I mean, Mayfield was kind of struggling for 3 quarters, but all of a sudden he got hot in that 4th quarter, and that was the plays he made in the 98-yard drive, that final 2-minute drive, that won the game for the Rams. It's going to be 20 degrees in Green Bay. I don't think the Rams are going to like playing in 20-degree weather. The coldest I think I've ever been was when Lloyd and I are both from Los Angeles. We lived out there several years, and I went and scouted a football game one time when it was 40 degrees, and I thought I was going to freeze to death. 40 degrees, the blood gets so thin out there.
Yeah, it's more like 15 out here. 40 is, I think.
Yeah, so the Rams are still ravaged by injuries on the offensive line, and they don't have Aaron Donald. He's got a high ankle sprain. I believe he'll miss. They got 3 offensive linemen, as I said, on the IR. Heard today that for the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love is considering asking for a trade request. And actually for him, I think that's not a bad idea. If they're not ready to cut ties from Aaron Rodgers, he should ask for a trade. I do think Jordan Love is probably ready to go. They should know what they've got. They film every practice. They got 250 practices on film with Jordan Love, and he's played in 12 games, 5 of them preseason. So they should know what they have. Rodgers is at 64%, 22 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, but he is 38 years old. That's the big number against Aaron Rodgers. He's got one thing going, though. They have definitely developed this guy.
On the fake. Rodgers lets it fly. Has Watson. He's got it on his feet and he's in for the touchdown.
But the last 4 games, it seems like every other time this guy touches the ball, whether it's an end around or a deep throw from Rodgers, he is scoring touchdowns. He's got, I think, at least 9 touchdowns in the last 4 or 5 weeks. I'm picking Green Bay. I think it's just too cold for
And
the Rams up there.
Rodgers and Watson are kind of the team right now, so if they can keep it up, they can keep winning. So
Yeah, one thing I forgot to mention about the Arizona game, I am picking Arizona, but Cliff Kingsbury, the head coach of Arizona, is coaching this game with a heavy heart. On the news, and you probably already heard of the passing of Mississippi State's coach, Mike Leach. He's 61 years old, died of a heart attack last night. He was quite a character. He did not play college football. And I think he went to BYU. And that's back in the days in the 70s when Lavelle Edwards was developing an aerial offense. And he was so intrigued by it that he just kind of tagged along and attached himself to Mike Leach. And Leach would invite him over the house to show him films and stuff. And Mike Leach was his mentor as a coach. And I remember following him many years when he was at Texas Tech. He made him a national power at Texas Tech. He would recruit big pass blocking linemen, and he'd always have a quarterback who could throw the ball. And he was a lot to deal with. Also a quirky personality, didn't like talking football. He would talk about other things, and he was also a very strong family man. So sorry to see the passing of one of college football's great characters.
our sympathies to his family.
Yeah. Well, another good show, Lori. Thanks for helping me out.
On the fake, Rodgers lets it fly. Has Watson. He's got it on his feet and he's in for the touchdown.
That might be the last thing we see next week. Another Rodgers to Watson touchdown. I'm going to close with this video of the Philadelphia Eagles. Right now, they would be my Super Bowl pick, and here's why.
From way back, Jones gets sacked again. Hassan Reddick this time. 2 sacks on the opening drive for Philadelphia. On 4th and 7. Hurts lofts it for Smith. It's a touchdown! Devontae Smith. Yeah, a first down pass play. Jalen Hurts has been locked in so far. Wants it all and has Brown. 1 play to get in the end zone. A.J. Brown for the 10th time this year. First half. Boston Scott with the rain falling a little bit harder now. Scott has room, and Boston Scott gets by Gano. Pushed out of bounds. And right after the Giants get something to feel good about, Scott takes a return 66 yards. Got a touchdown in the first play. Showed the quick strike ability. Miles Sanders, first play of the second half. He's got a gaping hole. Sanders' biggest run of the day goes for 22 yards. Jason Pinnock finally gets him.
Weather will play a part in the second half already. The rain is coming down harder.
Yeah, and it's been all run playing into that. Here's Hurts with a blocker in front. Jalen Hurts. And they are gashing the Giants on the ground. First drive of the second half.
Passing, 191 rushing.
Another carry for Sanders, and this one breaks loose. He's headed for the end zone. Touchdown. You know, last year to this year, from 4-13 to in the playoff pictures, this is a sack from behind by Graham. Ball comes out, and the Eagles have it. It's recovered by Patrick Johnson after Brandon Graham got his 3rd sack of the day.
Philadelphia Eagles are one of the most complete teams I think I have ever seen in a long time. I'm picking them for the Super Bowl. Thanks for joining us, everybody. 12 days to Christmas. Good night, everybody.
Good night.